Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Codergirl.py. My name is Serenity, aka Codergirl. This is my friend Scooter. Today I'm going to introduce you to if statements using Python. Hope you enjoy! Alright, so if I open up my IDE, you'll notice I have one new folder, if. Inside my if folder, I have two new files, if.py and if1.py. Let's open up if.py first. When you program, you'll want to check for certain conditions and run certain code if that condition is true or false. For example, if you're making a website that requires the user to log in, you want to log in the user if and only if the username and password are correct. Otherwise, you want to give an error. To do this in Python, we use if statements. So in if.py, I have the following code. My variable equals 4. If my variable is greater than 0, print my variable is greater than 0. So right here in my variable equals 4, I'm declaring a variable called my variable and setting it to 4. Then I use an if statement to check if my variable is greater than 0. To write an if statement, you need the following syntax. If condition, colon, new line, code. In an if statement, the computer checks if the condition is true or false. If the condition is true, it runs the code inside the if statement. So in my if statement, I check if my variable is greater than 0. You might recognize that my condition here, my variable is greater than 0, is a Boolean operation, which returns true or false. All of your conditions must be a Boolean operation in order for the computer to check if your condition is true or false. Let's say I instead change this to an arithmetic operation. My variable plus 2. My variable is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. So this condition is 6. But 6 isn't a condition. What is the computer supposed to check for? How do you get true or false from 6? To avoid problems like this, I can change my variable plus 2 into my variable plus 2 equals 6. Even though this operation contains an arithmetic operation, my variable plus 2, the whole thing is a Boolean operation, since we can actually check if my variable plus 2 is 6. All of this is to say that making sure your conditions are Boolean operations is very important. Let me change this back to my original condition. My variable is greater than 0. Since my variable is in fact greater than 0, 4 is greater than 0, this condition returns true. Because my condition, this Boolean operation, evaluated to true, the code inside my if statement will run. So print my variable is greater than 0 will be run, so this program will output my variable is greater than 0. And when I click the run button up top, you can see we get the expected output. Perfect. Now I've mentioned a lot about the code inside the if statement. But one thing you might be asking yourself is, how does the computer know what code I mean? How does the computer know that print my variable is greater than 0 is inside our if statement? In Python, we use indentation as a hint to the computer. Any and all code I want inside my if statement must be indented. This is an absolute requirement. If you don't indent your code properly, your program won't work as expected, and you may even get an error. So since I want print my variable is greater than 0 inside my if statement, I have to indent it. So you can see right here, I've indented it. So that's perfect. And let's say I wanted another print statement, print hello, inside my if statement as well. I would write print hello, and I'd also have to indent that. So right now inside my if statement, I have two print statements. print my variable is greater than 0, and print hello. As of now, because they're in my if statement, these two print statements will only be run if my condition is true. Currently, my condition is true. My variable is 4. 4 is greater than 0, so that returns true. So this program will output both print statements. My variable is greater than 0 and hello. And if we run it, it outputs both of our print statements. But what happened if I were to unindent print hello, but keep print my variable is greater than 0 still indented? Print hello is no longer indented, so it's no longer in the if statement. As a result, it will be print out no matter what our condition is. So even if our condition is false, it will still be outputted. Print my variable is greater than 0, however, is still indented, so it's still inside our if statement. As a result, it will be outputted only if our condition is true. However, if our condition is false, it will not be outputted. So as of now, my condition is true, but if I changed my variable to -1, -1 is no longer greater than 0, so my condition is now false. And if I run this program, you can see it only outputs hello. Print hello, like I said before, was not inside the if statement, so it was outputted regardless of what the condition was. Print my variable is greater than 0 wasn't outputted because our condition was false. Indenting your program or indenting your code can affect how your program works. As you can see, if statements are very useful and are very important. However, sometimes they're just not enough. So let's go back and let's say that, again, I'm checking if a variable is greater than 0. If it was greater than 0, I'd want to output my variable is greater than 0. However, what about all the times when my variable isn't greater than 0? So that would mean my condition is false. What if I also wanted to output something if my condition is false? It wouldn't be practical to have an if statement for every single possibility where my condition is false, right? I'd want one default option that would be applied whenever my condition was false. Luckily in Python, we have the else statement to do this. So let me head out of if.py and open up if1.py. In it, I declare a variable called my number and set it to 5. Then I use an if statement to check if my number is, in fact, 5. Note this condition is a Boolean operation since we can actually check if it is true or false. If my condition is true, the computer will output print my number is 5. But what about all the times when my number isn't 5? This is where the else statement below comes in handy. To use an else statement, you must have an if statement to go with it. An else statement cannot go by itself. You place an else statement after all of the code inside your if statement. So my else statement would go after print my number is 5. To write an else statement, you need else, new line, code. Like an if statement, all the code you want inside your else statement must be indented. It is an absolute requirement. So inside my else statement, I have print my number is not 5. This will only be run if my condition is false. You can kind of think of an else statement as the opposite of an if statement. Right now, print my number is not 5 will not run, since my condition, my number equals 5, is currently true. However, if I change my number to 6, 6 does not equal 5, so my condition is false. As a result, print my number is 5 will not be outputted, since it was inside the if statement and my condition was false. However, because my condition was false, the code inside the else statement will run. So this will output print my number is not 5. And when I click the run button up above, you can see it outputs my number is not 5. Perfect. As you can see, if statements and else statements are extremely useful, but they can be hard to understand at first. So feel free to rewind and rewatch parts of the video or try if statements and else statements by yourself. There's also an elif statement, in addition to an if statement and else statement. However, I didn't want to complicate things too much, so I'll cover those in a later video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. This is Codergirl.py, signing out.